A pair of bills that could reshape Arkansas's alcohol industry is now headed for the governor's desk. The two bills in question are Senate Bills 97 and 98. We'll start with 97, which would allow people or corporations that own one liquor permit to buy more. But this does come with a few restrictions. Carter 312 tells us what these bills would do and why some liquor store owners have opposed them.
This bill does not expand the amount of liquor permits available in the state of Arkansas.
Senator Bart Hester is the sponsor of SB 97, which would increase the number of liquor licenses a company can have from 1 to 3. The catch is that you can only have a maximum of 1 per county, and these additional licenses have to be in counties with over 200,000 people.
Today, that means Benton County, Washington County, and Pulaski County.
The bill has seen opposition from local liquor store owners who are worried that it'll allow big corporations to buy up all the liquor licenses, hurting mom and pop stores. Possibly helping their case is the fact that retailers like Walmart support the bill. Their director of public affairs, Michael Lindsay, testified in favor of it, but said the fears of small liquor stores are misplaced.
It limits it to 1 per county, which still encourages competition. A company or a person can't own 3 liquor stores in one city. So it's 1 liquor store, 1 city, 1 county. So you still have strong competition among all of the liquor store owners.
Ultimately, the bill made it through the Senate and the House and now just needs a signature from the governor to become law. The same is true for SB 98, which would allow grocery and convenience stores to deliver alcohol to wet counties. Currently, only liquor stores are allowed to do this.
This is not new to the state, it's just expanding a little bit on who is allowed to deliver.
The bill would also allow third-party companies like DoorDash to deliver alcohol in the same way. In a statement sent to THV11, DoorDash said that this system will allow them to work with local businesses to make more money for them and DoorDash workers. But John Crow, a Sherwood liquor store owner, worries that third-party services won't be able to handle these deliveries responsibly.
If you're a minimum wage employee just running around in a van making deliveries and nobody's coming to the door, are you going to go make your next delivery? Amazon wants you to keep a schedule. Are you going to wait there for 10, 15 minutes for them to come answer the door to check their ID?
For DoorDash, they say they have strict policies in place to ensure that IDs are checked before alcohol is delivered. The governor's office says a decision has not been made yet at this time on whether or not the bills will be signed. Lawmakers are also pushing to regulate short-term rentals in the state like Airbnb and Vrbo's. House Bill 1445 aims to establish more state-level oversight rather than leaving it up to local governments. Republican Representative Britt McKenzie says this bill is necessary to protect property rights and dismantle overly restricted regulations cities and counties already have in place. But not everyone agrees, including North Little Rock Mayor Terry Hartwick.
We're not against STRs. We're just trying to say there should be so many in this neighborhood, and to have it where you can have 6 or 7 that disrupts the whole neighborhood. And that's what it's about. Just let us keep in control of the area that we're responsible for.
This strengthens by creating guidelines for local control. What it takes away are arbitrary or seemingly, as the winds blow, regulations on them.
Mayor Hardwick says he's spoken to other mayors in the area who are against the bill. The proposal is expected to be heard on the House floor in the next few weeks. There's a newly signed law that's designed to improve maternal health outcomes in the natural state. Governor Sanders signed the bill known as the Healthy Moms, Healthy Babies Act into law yesterday. The multi-million-dollar program will boost Medicaid funding for pregnancy care, increasing reimbursements, expanding remote monitoring, and covering up to 14 prenatal and postnatal visits.
And will increase Medicaid's investment in pregnant women by more than $12 million. We will also increase reimbursements for deliveries and C-sections by 70%.
Multiple surveys rank Arkansas near the bottom for pregnancy resources for both the mothers and their child. New laws mean new changes for students across Arkansas this fall. Thursday, the governor signed 2 new acts into law, one banning cell phones in school except in the cases of emergencies, and one providing students with free breakfast to start the day. Fayetteville Superintendent Dr. John Mulford says 41% of the more than 10,000 students in the district rely on free or reduced meals.
I think it is a huge financial benefit for families. We're excited about that. It also makes it a little easier on the school side, not having to worry about taking money or charging an account for breakfast. And hopefully this is a step towards universal free lunch as well in the not too distant future.
As for the Bell-to-Bell No Cell Act, Mulford says reducing cell phone usage is more about student health than the phone itself.
You talk about student mental health and focus on academics. It's often those social media components and platforms and time that takes to do all that diverts their focus and creates poor self-image and those kinds of things.
Now, Mulford says he will be working with the school board to figure out how exactly to implement both the free breakfast and no cell phone policy when it goes into effect. Washington County Justices of the Peace have approved an ordinance raising their yearly maximum pay.
We get paid per day, as set by Arkansas Statute 1414-1205, and it's based on the population size of the county, and Washington County is one of a few that has over 200,000. And when J.P. Lyons first brought this forward, he was talking about that Benton County had just increased their salary some, and that we were among the lowest paid JPs in the whole state, even in smaller populated counties.
The ordinance, which raised their maximum compensation from $7,200 a year to just under $19,200, passed with a vote of 11-3. The former rate saw JP compensated $200 for every meeting, but the new rate will pay around $993 for every quorum court meeting and an extra $300 for committee meetings. Moving over now to our continuing coverage in Jefferson County, where a new justice of the peace has been appointed. The last few months have been both tense and controversial, as leaders in the county are still working on approving a budget for the year. Failed meetings after failed meetings have led to the tension, and it's part of the reason the former JP resigned. Richard Victorino hopes he can represent his whole community in his new role.
I'm there to represent the whole community. Right, wrong, or indifferent, my opinion is going to be in the best interest of the whole community.
Victorino is a former constable of the Spring Township and volunteer with the fire department. He says the quorum court still fully intends to pass a budget. As of right now, the county has reverted back to last year's budget thanks to Senate Bill 182.
You could just see it in his smile, in his handshake, in his hug, in his eyes. Don loved people. And he loved us because he knew how much God loves us and how much God loved him. And so Pastor Don wanted to make sure that everyone he met had that same joy and that same assurance that he had of something so much bigger and better than this life.
Happening today, the funeral for Don Hutchins. The former Evangel Temple pastor died this week at a Fort Smith hospital. Hutchins had been with the church since 1989. Tonight, new torment by Hamas terrorists in Gaza. They released a propaganda video showing 2 hostages being forced to watch the staged release of fellow captives. The men are also seen pleading to be freed. CBS's Deborah Pata is in East Jerusalem, reports that in Israel, the latest hostage release brought a sense of joy and mourning.
Finally, Cherie Bibas has come home. In the early hours of this morning, braving miserable weather, mourners lined the streets to pay their respects to the young mother and her 2 dead boys. But for a few families, there were also tears of joy today as 6 more hostages were released by Hamas. I've dreamt of this moment so much, you have no idea, said Omer Shem Tov as he embraced his parents. Elia Cohen's release culminated in an emotional reunion with his girlfriend Ziv Abud. The couple were at the Nova Music Film Festival on October 7. He had no idea she'd survived the terror attack until today. In Gaza, relatives also waited anxiously for the more than 600 Palestinians jailed in Israel who were due to be freed in exchange for the hostages. I want to fly in the air, said Soraya Abu Diraz. I can't wait for him to come home. 4 more bodies are expected to be handed over by Hamas in the coming week. Then that's it. The 6-week truce ends. Talks to extend the ceasefire for a second round have still not been finalized. The second phase of the deal will have to decide who controls Gaza. Hamas wants a complete withdrawal of Israeli troops. Israel wants the rest of the hostages freed, the territory demilitarized, and Hamas out. Deborah Patter, CBS News, East Jerusalem.
The Holy See is reporting that Pope Francis's condition remains critical after he suffered a prolonged respiratory crisis today. The update added that the pontiff required high-flow oxygen and in a first during this hospital stay, blood transfusions after tests revealed anemia. Doctors said he was in more pain than yesterday, but Francis remained alert, spending much of the day seated in his armchair. Earlier this week, they reported he had double pneumonia, which is serious for anyone, especially an 88-year-old already missing part of a lung that was removed when he was a young man. This is his 4th stay at the hospital since 2021. 2 years ago, he was admitted for pneumonia.